Welcome to Real Laughs on Real Radio 104.1. I am your host for the evening, Miguel Colon Jr. I am joined in virtual studios with my homeboys. And may I say that we haven't been on live or on the air, with new shows in a couple weeks because we've all been on the road, holidays and things like that. But to the listeners who choose to listen, who stick with us, it makes us so happy to be back together and do this. And it's something that, guys, we really appreciate that you've stuck with us through. We want to keep making the shows better and better for you. And we definitely want feedback on our Facebook page. We want you guys to hit us up and let us know what you're interested in. But the three guys that I work with on the show, James, Ken, and Mike, are not only some of my favorite comedians and entertainers, but I personally love getting together with them on the mic a couple times a week and being able to do this. And I wanted to say that to you guys, Ken, Mike, and James, that it sometimes becomes a chore doing this because we got so much going on in our lives. I tell you, it was the best during the COVID lockdown. I was like, cool. During the COVID lockdown, I was
got something to do.
Man, got something to do. But I know our lives are all going back. You know, the guys are back in the studio. Ken's been working through this whole time. So to our loyal listeners and fans who've been sticking through with us through this whole time, I really appreciate everything you have done to be a part of this. And we can't wait to get back and start doing live shows on, different clubs and venues and putting together some real laugh shows. So please look forward to that. But before we get the show started, I would like to kind of check in with my homeboys, Mr. James Yawn. 2018 Monsters and More Comedian of the Year?
19.
2019? All right, so
just like the COVID, baby. 19.
19, baby.
Just like the COVID, baby.
James, quick question, man. Your kids are all older.
Yes, they are.
Now, we're 10 days away from Christmas right now, I believe. Did you ever have the Santa Claus talk with them, or did you just let it fizzle out?
Here's what happened. We had told the kids when they were little that Santa Claus did exist. They were all in. My kids loved it. And every year we do the same thing. We tell the kids, all right, now it's time for us to go outside and look for Santa. And then the grandfather would stay inside and we'd all take the gifts out of the closet while they're out there looking for Santa. We'd put them around the tree. And then the grandfather would go, ho, ho, ho. And the kids were like, oh, we heard Santa. They would come back in, see the gifts, and we're like, oh my God, Santa Claus just came. But you know how kids, they start to get inquisitive. And one year, Devin Michael, my oldest, the fruit of my loins, peeked through the window and saw us putting the gifts under the tree and completely lost his mind.
James,
he came in there.
Of all the things Devin could have caught you and Michelle doing, I'm so glad he saw you just go.
That's another story, and that was a thumbnail. But anyway, no. So he saw us. He comes in crying, and I'll never forget the way he was crying. The way I shouldn't have laughed at him because he was an emotional stop. But the way he cried, he goes, "You lied! You lied! You said Santa was real."
I don't know when I found out Santa wasn't real, but I do know my homeboy Cornell shared a story of me one time. He said he found out Santa wasn't real and saw his parents getting him a Nintendo because he saw them putting the Nintendo in the house. And then later on, he opened the gift up, and it said from Santa. And Cornell said, when I realized that they were Santa the whole time, he goes, my first thought was, MFers, and y'all been making me wait till Christmas to get this stuff? Y'all could have got this anytime.
Oh, that's funny, man.
In the closet the whole time.
Whole time, man, making me wait. Yep. Now, joined in the studio with, of course, Mr. Mike Hurley, the head writer of The Lowdown. Mike, you've got two younger boys. Where are you with Santa with them right now?
Man, they both still believe. And
that's fun, isn't it, man? Like having them still believe in all that stuff.
It really is. I don't think they believe to the point I believed when I was a kid, but it's strictly because their mom had a different Christmas growing up than I did. Like my parents had to basically come out and tell me when I was 16 there's no such thing as Santa Claus. Stop asking for stuff. Because I was going to play the game as long as they, because my older brother stopped believing when he was like 10 or 11, and I found that he got less gifts at Christmas because he was running around saying, there's no Santa, it's mom and dad, blah, blah, blah. So that Christmas, I ended up getting a ton of stuff from Santa. He stopped getting stuff from Santa. So it was then that I realized, I'm like, man, I'm in for the long haul on this one. You know,
Yeah.
so I just kept going. Wonder what Santa. I wrote letters every year to Santa. Like, and finally, it was my parents. I got a Tony Hawk skateboard, a Tony Hawk medallion skateboard
I
for
remember that.
Christmas in 1992, and I was like, "Oh, it's just the one I wanted." And my dad was like, "No, if it's not the one you like, we got the receipt." I'm like, "Why would you have the receipt?"
Yeah.
From the
Yeah,
toy
and,
from Santa's shop.
and I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Mike, come on." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, my little brother was still like 7 years younger than me. So after he took me outside the patio, he was like, seriously though, I need you to tell me, you know, Santa is not real, right? And I was like, what? So I grew up like my parents used Santa all year as a way of keeping us in line. Like Santa's watching, Santa's watching. My kid's mom didn't grow up like that. It was different in her house, you know.
She's
My
like the girl
parents,
from Gremlins. She has like those Christmas stories. She's like, my dad crawled in the chimney and
yeah,
died.
right. Growing up with an Italian family though, my Italian grandparents spoiled us. They went all out, like Christmas overload, even to the point now when we go down to visit my parents on Christmas, it's like a second Christmas for my kids because
Yeah.
they spoil their grandkids. But their mom has always been like a smaller Christmas. I come from a family where Christmas, your whole year sucks, and Christmas is the one chance to be happy.
Yeah.
You know, so it's been trying to balance that out. So trying not to push the Santa Claus thing. Also, I was raised very super Catholic. Like I was an altar boy. I did my confirmation, my communion. My kids right now are growing up with no formalized religion. You know, we're raising them to be good people, but we
Yeah.
That's
have.
my kid. Yeah.
So when you grow up Catholic, Christmas is like double impactful because it's
Yeah.
the whole story, and then Santa tossed on top of
Yeah.
that.
Like
So
Santa
I
Claus becomes like one of Jesus's like disciples when you grow up Catholic. Like
Yeah.
you know, he's kind of there. He does stuff for Jesus. He'll report. I
It's-
remember I've heard people be like, "Don't let Santa tell Jesus what you did." I'm like,
Wow.
when you think
Santa's
about
one of
it,
Jesus's capos.
But
You know?
Mike was Italian, so he was like, "Yo, Santa don't snitch.
Yeah.
Like, he don't do that."
when you think about Santa and God, you know, when you're a kid, they're both old white guys with long beards that, if you ask nicely, give you whatever you want, you know? And
Yeah.
Santa has like elves and God has like angels. The only real difference is, you know, God, you can pray and you get what you want, supposedly right then. Santa, you got to write a list. And that's why when a plane's going down, you hear more people going, Dear Heavenly Father, than pulling out pen and paper going, Santa, for Christmas.
Santa baby, don't let us die in the river tonight.
I would like a parachute.
Hey, but another difference is though, at least you get to see Santa one time a year in the mall. Jesus just be laying low all the time.
Not this year, man. You see the Santas this year, how all the photos are? It's Santa's wearing a mask, and then in front of him is a bench where you can come and sit and have Santa in the
Good.
background.
Good,
And
because
it's
we
like-
got to get rid of the system of, hey, you sit on the stranger's lap so you can get a present. Why'd
Yeah,
you get
well-
molested? What did you get in the van for? I thought it was early Santa. You know?
Hey, Santa was giving out puppies.
Yeah.
Whoa. What do you want for Christmas this year? A vaccine, what everybody wants. Have you out there working on that? Or
Yeah.
you got something out for Christmas to put it out?
I'm gonna
You know?
freak out if I'm a little kid this year.
vaccine, bro.
You're a little kid this year. Santa shows up to your house. You're like, ho ho, that's mom. Mommy's not 6
Yeah.
feet away.
Yeah. Hey, Santa, I'm sorry, but you've survived basically eternity traveling around the world and never aged. But now you're wearing a mask. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to take you out all of a sudden.
Oh, man.
Hey, we got Mr. Ken Miller, the Godfather of Orlando comedy. Ken Miller, your youngest is 14. How old's your youngest?
15.
Now?
She's 15.
She's 15. So I remember when I first met you. I've known you probably now for about 8 years. When I first met you, I used to hear you talk about your daughter. She was, she was a kid, a little kid. So, and I remember you telling us the tooth fairy jokes and things like that. So, about what point did y'all like clip the Santa in the house, or how did it come about?
Jazia had to be 9 or 10, but it wasn't us.
It was
It
the
was the
streets.
kid at the school.
Oh,
And
those
I
evil
even
kids.
it's funny
Cool.
because the Facebook memory popped up the other day, and it was like she came home crying. Like, what's wrong? She's like, Dad, some kid told me that Santa isn't real, and all of her friends tell me Santa isn't real. And I told her this. I said, you believe what you want to believe. If that makes you Christmas happy for you, you can believe in Santa. I said, baby, Daddy's 35 years old and I still believe in Santa. Now I don't, but the allure of it for Christmas is what makes Christmas special for you. So I said, if you don't want to believe, but now, once she got like 11 or 12, she's like, Dad, here go my Christmas list. Here you go, Dad.
Yeah.
But I grew up in the household where Santa was real for us. Like, you don't come downstairs because he'll put pepper in your eyes.
Yeah.
That's what they
Yeah.
taught
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
Wait, 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 wait. Hey, and I gotta
yeah.
ask because I
You
believe
know?
me and Mike Hurley here are both. And I might be wrong, but we definitely, me and Mike Hurley, he had more of like the Northern Catholic style breakdowns of Christmas. For all the listeners who didn't grow up in the projects of Greensboro, what is this with Santa putting pepper in your eye?
Oh,
Like,
that's real.
Pepper in
Santa
your
was gonna
eye,
mace
bro.
you?
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Yeah,
Santa was a
bro.
gangster where we
what
came
did
from. He didn't play.
what did Santa do in black households that was different than like Latino and like Irish Italian households that me and Mike are missing? Because my Santa was never gonna put pepper in your eye or shake the out of you. What did your Santa do
Yeah,
differently?
because
We
our Santa is white and we don't add spice to anything.
True.
Yeah.
Mike's like ketchup is spicy.
The
Yeah.
first time I saw
Is
the
this
first time I
mayonnaise a
saw
little hot?
I just caught on to what he's saying.
and then
This dude said,
hey, here's the thing too. My mom used to growing up though. My mom would always try to
oh,
slip stuff in. Like
like an
my
asshole,
mom, if
bro.
she was gonna buy a Barbie doll for my sisters, she would buy a black Barbie. My mom would always try to be like, no, I'm not gonna have just white things in my house, and not like in a racist
Oh
way.
my
But
gosh.
my mom would be like, hey, you're getting a Chinese doll. Why? Because Chinese people are people. Like that's what my mom would be. She would push that.
My
So
my
she remember we
grandmother
had a
was that.
yeah, we
My
had a
grandma was
black
that.
Santa. We had a black Santa one time, and
So did we.
I remember looking at the black Santa and be like, "Damn, I'm gonna get my presents
Look.
like January 8th now." You know, like he
No,
gonna
here's the
show
thing.
up in the daytime, late, like
Here's
y'all's
the
in the
thing about Black
neighborhood.
Santa, bro. We were poor. All right. So my mom was the one buying the gifts. So we had a Black Santa too. Now here's the thing. Now I didn't grow up with my father either. So I had two disappointing men in my life that were black. Like we didn't have great gifts growing up, man. So it was Black Santa bringing me home. I was like, yo, I wish we knew White Santa. Because this Black Santa, he don't give good gifts at all, man. Because we
Black
were
Santa,
poor.
Black Santa made more sense though, because I'm like red velvet suit only works one day. Word, word, word. You know, like,
True, true,
Yeah,
true.
Miguel,
Game recognized game.
Miguel,
Let's
come
talk
on, man.
about this
Listen,
dude,
every
Mike, talking about the pepper in his eyes because white people don't put seasoning in that. Bro,
that means Puerto
I
Rican Santa's
can't
gonna
stop
hit you with
laughing at
Puerto
that,
Rican
bro.
Santa's gonna throw sazon in your face, yo.
Yeah.
Adobo.
Yeah. Puerto
Adobo.
Rican Santa's got a sleigh pulled by pit bulls. It got little rims that are like cantered on it.
Yep. And
And then
why's the one door on the Puerto Rican sleigh a different color?
yeah. And then when all you know is you hear him on your roof because all you hear is suavemente.
He's up there like this.
Yeah, Santa shows up with his girlfriend, like, oye, papo, huepa!
This is Patrice. Say hey to her.
Yeah. Papo, I got no gift for you. I just come to use the bathroom. You know?
Hey,
That's
so
funny.
I had to Google it, man. I guess it started in 1979. Some
Pepper in the
kid
eye,
named
it's not even an
yeah,
old tradition.
yeah. According to Google, that
yeah,
it could be wrong, but
Kwanzaa
it
is
says
older than pepper in the eye.
Yeah.
yeah, right. But it said this kid said he got interviewed in the Washington Post, and he was like, "I got good news and bad news. The bad news is if you stay up to see Santa, he puts pepper in your eyes." But they don't tell you what the good news is. So I'm assuming
Yeah.
the good news is if you
He's the
take
good
your ass
news.
to sleep, you don't get pepper in
Yeah,
your
he's
eye.
like the good news is Santa's got a glass jaw. You know.
That's right.
Hey guys, we gotta go. We gotta go to commercial.
Oh
When we come
man.
back, I do want to talk about some Christmas traditions. If you had any Christmas traditions that were kind of like specific to your household, because I definitely did have some that I created with my sister that we still talk about to this day. So guys, keep listening in. Thank you for listening. You're listening to Real Laughs on Real Radio 104. Welcome back to Real Laughs on Real Radio 104.1. If you were listening to the last hour, last 15 minutes of the block, Ken was explaining that black Santa or black households that celebrate Santa Claus and Christmas have sort of a saying that if you what is it, Ken, again? If you stay up
You
late
see
and Santa
Santa Claus,
sees
you
you,
stay up late and see Santa Claus, he puts pepper in your eyes.
how does he do it? Does he just coat in his hand like a ninja? Just
Yeah, he just blow it. He like Great Muda. Remember Great
yeah,
Muda?
great.
Throw it in your face, yo.
Well, that got me thinking. I've never heard that before, and I'm glad I heard that because if I'm in North Carolina, it's December 24th, and it's about to hit midnight. I am
Take
rushing
your
my
ass
ass
to
to
bed.
bed because I don't want Santa showing up with a black and mild and a handful of pepper and just getting me. But
For the lorries.
Santa got me with seasoned salt.
Yeah.
Um, but that got me to thinking that there are different, like Christmas. Christmas is one of those things that on a very superficial level it seems to be all the same, and then as you start getting into more cultural, there's like lots of little cultural tweaks that certain people have, certain beliefs that people have, the way they do things. You know, Latinos, we got Three Kings Day, which happens
Yeah.
in January, which is supposed to be when the arrival of the three kings or the three wise men showed up to bring the gifts to the Virgin Mary, Jesus and Joseph, and say what's up to like the sheep and everything in the manger. And so that's like a bigger than almost like a second Christmas for some of us who I know in my household we celebrated Christmas too. We kind of did it this weird block. We celebrated Christmas Eve, which is super traditional Latino. We
Yes.
celebrated Christmas, which is just because we weren't going to be the house in the block not celebrating Christmas. And then we always celebrated like Three Kings Day, which in Three Kings Day we always got a smaller gift. And you would basically put out some water and some hay outside
Yeah.
your room to feed the three wise men's camels and their horses and whatever, and then you would get a gift. And it was always cool. But we also had a like Christmas tradition that was specifically one that I created with my younger sister Patricia. And that was every year I would tell her we were going to kidnap Santa Claus and steal all the toys. And every year, Trish would be with me until the last moment. And the last moment every year, she would write a letter to Santa Claus, tipping him off that I was going to, because she didn't want to be on the naughty list. And
That is
we
hilarious,
would come up with
man.
elaborate plots that were just so much fun for me. Like one time I had this bucket, it was empty bucket. But I said I was gonna fill it up with rubbing alcohol, and then it would spill on Santa's beard. He wouldn't be able to breathe because of the fumes. And I was like, and then I'm like, once Santa can't breathe, we're gonna zip tie him, grab him. I'm like, and then we're gonna grab the sleigh, go back to the. It was always a heist. I'm like, we're gonna go back. I'm gonna dress you up like an elf. You're gonna let me in, and we're gonna steal all his toys. And Trish would be gung ho the whole time. She'd be like, we would draw up maps and stuff. She would come to me one time. She came to me one time talking about a Santa Claus thing she saw. She was like, Mikey. She's like, the stables and the toy factory aren't even in the same place. And I was like, ooh, we're going to have to get in the toy factory. She's like, well, if we go to the stable, somebody's going to know. And I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to come in hot like the sleigh's messing up, you know?
God darn it.
Guys, I'm talking from her being like 4 years old to like 8 years old when it was pretty much like almost getting to the point where she was like, I don't know what's up with the Santa thing. But I'm talking a good 4 years, maybe even earlier than that, maybe 3 years old to like 8. Every year we were going to kidnap Santa, and every year she would sneak a note out. I caught her one night. It was like 12 o'clock at night, creeping in there with the note, like she'd be like, Santa, my brother is going to try to set you up. Wow. She was always afraid if it didn't go down, she would end up on the naughty list. Like
Miguel,
that was her big
why
fear.
was your holiday tradition planning a felony? Why was that?
Because you do the things you know. You know? And first of all, where is it a felony, James? What jurisdiction is this going to be in, okay? North Pole Court? Find me a jury of my peers in North Pole Court. It's going to be like 5 elves, an Inuit, and like four polar bears. And the polar bears and the Inuits are on my side. Because the polar bears are like, I don't care about none of these guys. The Inuits are going to be like, oh, they take our land here too and think this is theirs. They take the toy factory land. That's good fishing. You know, like
there's gonna be Black Santa there just because.
Black Santa with a black and mild hanging from his mouth. Like, hey man, first of all, man, I ain't snitching on nobody. What up,
I wish one of these little kids tried to kidnap me.
Yeah, I pray for it, man. Yeah, the Ortiz brothers kidnapped me in '88 when I was at war with Duke Washington and his crew. And where are they now? Where are they now? And Puerto Rican Santa's just dancing still. And he's like, "What's going on? A kidnapping? Papi." But that was our thing, and to this day, I mean, I'm my sister's 29 years old, and I'm 39 years old, and to this day, in our household, we joke about the Santa kidnapping, and to me, if I could relive that with another child, like one of my nieces or nephews or something like that, I would
Get
so
that
bring it
going.
back because it was
Gotcha.
just this fun. It was this elaborate heist, this sneaky bad thing. Like I remember me and Trish would be drawing stuff, and like my mom would come in my room, she would cover it with like a pillow. Trish would be so into this, like we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, and then last minute every year would be like, I can't be a part of this, I can't
I
be a
can't
part
do
of
this.
this, and I
I
loved
can't.
it.
I can't go down for this, Miguel.
That's what it
I
was.
can't do this.
Yeah. Like she's on the phone. Like, I mean, I'm glad that she never called 911 because she thought it was so real. I can imagine be like 911. My brother's gonna kidnap a white man. You're at the door already? Okay. But did you guys? I mean, I know that's a crazy thing, but are there
Yeah, that's crazy.
tradition things that you guys know that as you got older you realized were not everyday Christmas things, were more cultural or household to you guys?
I think cultural for me, nothing crazy. It's just the fact when I learned that most Latin people, when I was dating my wife, celebrate Christmas Eve instead of Christmas. Like that's the big thing. Like there's
Yeah.
nothing they really do on Christmas Day. Christmas Eve is the dinner, it's the presents, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, wait a minute, what you saying? We get to open all our gifts today, like everything that your parents and stuff bought us. I'm like, well, it's like, yeah, that's how we do it. I'm like, yo, I could have been Puerto Rican a long time ago. Like, this is
Yeah.
great, man.
I'm
So
gonna tell you
that's
this
the only
much.
thing with me.
Puerto Rican Jesus is a lot more lenient.
He
You
is.
know?
I've learned
Yeah.
that.
He's a
I
lot
learned
more
he's a
lenient.
lot more lenient, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, so that was the only thing difference for me. I was always used to growing up, and Christmas Day was the day. It was a celebration.
Did you guys ever do the one? Because I knew some families that did the one present on Christmas Eve.
My mom wasn't playing that. She was like,
Yeah.
"Nah, this ain't Jesus' day. No, we ain't doing that." So yeah, we
And
ain't
what
get to.
time were you allowed to open presents? Because even in my household, you couldn't do the "oh, it's midnight, it's Christmas now" crap.
No, when
You know,
mom
like
got
yeah,
up
that
and
was
sat on
it.
the couch,
That's
that's
when
when you could open your
everybody was
gifts.
up.
That's
Yeah,
when
Yeah.
you
everybody
would.
you knew. When mama got up, put on her robe, and sat down on that couch, then you could open your gifts. That was the
That's
rule.
what's up. Mike, anything for you guys that you had Christmassy that you realize now as you've grown up was more isolated to your family or culture or neighborhood than it was a big Christmas thing?
Not so much culturally or specifically only in my family. Like being Catholic, we would go to church, of course, and then Christmas
You go
Eve
to
was
mass
where,
first, right?
yeah. But we also, it's funny because when I think I was 8 or 9, and we had just moved from Connecticut to Florida, and I left all my friends behind, and I wasn't doing too well in school here, and my brothers and I didn't get along. It was like the first Christmas here, and I wrote a letter to Santa begging him to take me to the North Pole and let me be an elf. I would be an amazing elf. I'd work hard. I'd build all the toys. Just let me. I was
You
basically
wanted
saying,
out.
just give me room and board. I wasn't brave enough to run away, but I figured I could go live at the North Pole and be an elf. And I was like 8 or 9 years old. And I wrote the letter, and my mom intercepted the letter, and they wrote me back a letter explaining to me why I couldn't be an elf in very nice language. So basically, they thwarted my runaway scheme by writing a letter and
That's
going.
pretty.
I'm like, man, even Santa doesn't want me. But the funny thing is, my 10-year-old, like last year, when he went and saw Santa, he actually mentioned, he's like, what do you want for Christmas? He's like, I'd really like to come work for you at the North Pole. And Santa, like, the guy was just like blown away. He's like, and I'm like, nah, I'm not helping you on this one. You talk your way
Yeah.
out of it. You
Yeah.
put on
It's
this
all
suit,
you.
this is all you. So he told me, he's like, oh, well, same BS. You got to be an elf and blah, blah, blah. Discrimination.
He's
There you
like,
go.
listen, man, Santa's been picking a lot of his elves up from Guadalajara lately. Okay.
Santa just every year on the 22nd pulls in front of Home Depot, and whoever jumps in the sleigh
Yeah.
to work that day.
You're an
Santa,
elf.
Santa lets his most trusted elf drive the truck. You
Why do you
know?
think all the elves are named Pepe and they're under 5'2"?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Biggest problem I ever have with my elves is the knife fights. But other than that, man,
Wow.
we keep it. We
Yo.
keep it all right.
I don't mind doing it for recreation, but when it's time to work, it's time to work.
Yeah. Like you didn't know there were so many racial slurs for elves until you spent a week in the North Pole, and then you're like, hey, you snowbacks, get to work. You know?
No back.
Yeah.
God dang. That's
Ken,
funny.
anything besides pepper in the eyes, and which still to me, I'm like, I didn't know Santa had any defense. My whole
Hey, man.
life.
Santa coming to the
God.
hood, bro. Some things you just got to do. Some things you just got
Yep.
to do, man. Nah, I mean, honestly, for my family, no. Like Jane said, we had the normal. You got to wake up at a certain time when Mama wake up. When I got married to my first wife, they're Italian,
Mhm.
so on Christmas Eve they do seafood.
Okay,
They
yeah,
do
yeah,
like,
yeah. The
yeah,
Mm.
they do
pesca,
like
the
for the
fish, the pesca.
seafood.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't eat seafood, so they would do Italian for me. So they would do seafood and they would do baked ziti and sauce. And it was funny because when I first moved down from DC to Florida, my first Christmas Eve with them, I'm allergic to shellfish, and one of the aunts bought me Popeye's chicken. Now, she wasn't doing it to be
Wow.
racist. She really wasn't. She was like, I
No.
was rushing, and this was the only thing that was quick to get here. You know what I'm saying? So I stopped and got it. But of course, me, you gonna bring me fried chicken? You gonna bring me? But then another
As you
white,
ate it.
as I ate,
Yeah.
it, then the white dude that was at the party, like, I can't eat shellfish either, but I love Popeyes. I'm like, well, thanks for messing my joke up.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
bro,
You're
for
like,
messing up
there's
my
not enough.
racism, bro.
There's not enough.
Yeah. I ain't
I
giving you
Man.
like,
this
I like, I
chicken.
can imagine the Italian too. Wait, baby, what does Kenneth eat? Well, you don't know fish. You don't want some scaragouche. How about some caporabaggio? No, Jesus Christ! I tell you what. I tell you what. Go to the Popeyes in the Mooley neighborhood. Go get them some of that lasagna. Get them some of that fried chicken. And you know they love the hot sauce. They love the hot sauce. Get them a
So
gallon
that
of
was
tea.
that was our tradition, and then they would on Christmas Eve you would open up gifts from the family, like what aunts and
Yeah.
uncles and stuff give you. But then
Yeah.
Christmas was the gifts from Santa.
Okay.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve was what you got from the family gifts, and then Santa was the actual Christmas Day was what you got from
Was
Santa.
there any like old racist member of her family? Because I can imagine be like, "Hey, Kenneth, this year for Christmas, I got you some Newports. I know you
Yeah.
guys love those."
Actually, dude, I'm gonna say no because all of them have interracial kids.
Oh,
So no, they're
nice.
all like her family is all. Everybody in that family has been married or has a kid by somebody that's not. She got one aunt, two of her aunts don't have interracial kids, but like two or three of her aunts all have mixed kids. So
Did
nah,
they
they
ever
all.
give you like a nickname like, hey, eggplant, come over here.
Yeah.
Let me tell you
Yeah.
Yeah, my
something.
Yeah.
nickname is Tang.
Tay.
Tang.
Yeah, they're like, my nickname's Tay. Like, take your ass outside when Grandma's around. She's gonna flip out.
Yeah, I
I
got
love I love
You
Tang
the
know
as
what?
a
idea.
nickname.
I love the idea of them being like, you know what the problem with every race is? They don't got
Mm.
no Italian in them. You know?
Yeah.
So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna plant a little bit in everybody and fix this problem. If you wear six chains and a wife beater around the house and yell real loud, then you're more Puerto Rican than white. You
Yeah,
know,
right.
like Italian. I used to love how Italians and Puerto Ricans clicked in some areas, and Italians and Puerto Ricans did not click in every area. Because whenever I went to Italian households, I'd be like, okay, food's a little different, everything else is the same. I have the same saints everywhere. I
Yep.
have
Yeah.
my grandmother and grandfather sitting this. My aunt lives upstairs from you.
Mm.
You live at home till you're 37. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
this is basically the formula from being a Boricua, except you guys just a little more cheese on your food, and that's it.
You know why Italians wear those thick chains? So they know where to stop shaving.
Yeah.
Damn.
Hey guys, we gotta go to commercial break, but when we come back with the last half, I want to talk to us about what our plans are for the new year and if we think anything's gonna change. So you guys are listening to Real Laughs on Real Radio 104.1. Welcome back to Real Laughs on Real Radio 104.1. I'm joined in virtual studio with James Young, Mike Hurley, and Ken Miller. I am Miguel Cologne Jr., 2016 Monsters of the Morning Comedian of the Year. And the holidays are fast approaching. We are 10 days away from Christmas. New Year's is right around the corner. And I wanted to talk to you guys. I know that we were just talking a little bit ago personally that a lot of us aren't taking as many holiday gigs as we used to, don't want to do as many
Yeah.
private parties and things like
Yeah.
that. Um, how's the future looking for you guys right now on bookings past the holidays? Like, James.
Well, I was gonna say this, man. A long time ago, my wife told me that, look, if there's one holiday I would like you not to do comedy, it's New Year's, because I would tell you like clockwork, I would have a show with Mike for years. Like we would be traveling every year doing a good gig. The money's great on New Year's, but that's just one of the ones my wife's like, you know what? I would prefer you home as we ring in the new year. And I stopped doing shows on New Year's Eve. I just didn't like to travel, and I didn't like the fact that it was a lot of amateurs out drinking and doing dumb things. But as far as the new year, I don't have a lot. That's why I was asking you guys on break. Like, are you guys taking any gigs for the new year? Because I got tired of taking gigs and canceling them throughout COVID.
Me
Because
too,
that's
James.
all I was doing.
Me too.
I was
And
just canceling the gig.
And
Yeah.
I got tired of a lot of times the gigs that I was getting set up with. People would be like, "Hey, who do you want to bring as a feature?" And I got tired of telling people, "Hey, man," because the thing is, I've only been headlining for a few years now, but when it comes to featuring, uh, a lot of the guys that you get for featuring, a lot of the guys you'll bring in, it's it's such a bigger deal for them to get booked. They're gonna set everything up around it. They have jobs, full time jobs and stuff like that. So I got tired of reaching out to people and being like, "Hey man, I got this good one for us. It's like a 2 day run, 3 day run. We're gonna head out to this place." And then the problem was during COVID, these places weren't canceling a month ahead of time. They were
No.
canceling the week before.
Amen.
And
You're right,
and
man.
this is the thing. Nobody blames. And I'm not mad. I'm not mad. We understand what's going on. But the people I have to tell, hey, sorry, this show's canceled to. They're not looking at the venue, thinking, oh man, that venue. It's like my name's starting to get hit more and more. It's like, oh, he canceled. He
Because you
canceled on me.
you
He
canceled those
canceled.
people. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
man.
yeah. So for me, I've been real skeptical. And I mean, uh, the only thing I've lost from COVID this whole year is money. So I will take that in a heartbeat compared to what other people have lost. James, you and your
Amen.
family, you just suffered from the vid, man.
Yep. Yep.
We've known people, other comics that have had COVID. I've known people that have had to be hospitalized. And at first,
Hmm.
when COVID first started like striking, like around March and stuff, I didn't know people that were hospitalized. It was the second wave where I started meeting or knowing friends of mine that had to be hospitalized. A buddy of mine had to be intubated, which is crazy. But all I've lost is money. So if
Yeah.
I just keep losing money, that's gonna suck. But I will take that in a heartbeat. But I
Yeah.
don't want to lose my credibility because it happens with our fans too. We have fans that won't see the message you cancel the show and will drive all the way out somewhere to
Yes,
come
they
check
will.
you out. And
Yes,
we've
they
had venues.
will.
Me and Ken were talking about it before. We worked a venue a while ago that was limiting the amount of people that would come, but was those people were calling and making reservations, and the venue was like, "Sure, you can come." And then the day of the show, they were telling people, "Sorry, we've hit our maximum occupancy." And those people don't get. They're like, "Hey, I drove all the way here from Tampa to see you." They
Yep.
talk to you about it. They don't get that it's the venue
Yeah,
that's
it's not
doing
you.
this, and you don't have any pull about that. So I am
Yep.
real skeptical with like big bookings like that. How about you, Mike? Anything with you? Anything you've been skeptical about, or anything you've turned down because of this?
You know what? I lost a bunch of gigs when everything got shut down. And then I've taken some gigs that the bookers have reached out to me directly, or like one of you guys has asked me to do, or something like that. And if it's a safe room or whatnot. But, where I'm at now, as far as my stand up goes, is way different than where I've been for the past 10 years of my life. For the past 10 years of my life, once I made comedy my full time job, if I opened up my calendar and I had an open weekend 5.5 months from now, I was freaking out. How am I going to pay bills 5.5
Yep.
months from now? Like
Yep.
it was unheard of for me not to have a gig on a weekend somewhere. You know. Uh, Now this gig I did last over the weekend at Taylor Boyd's room up in Leesburg at the Center for the Arts there. That was my last gig I have on my schedule. This is the first time in I don't know how many years I have absolutely nothing on my schedule. And I think I'm at the point now where I'm comfortable enough that saying starting in January I'm going to start reaching out to bookers again and being like, "Hey, I'm available." But like we were talking earlier, there's some clubs that aren't open back up yet. So places that used to be, oh yeah, I'll hit that, then Friday I'll be here, then Saturday I'll be here. If they don't have those clubs open in that run, I'm not driving up to the Panhandle for a one nighter. I'm not going up to North Carolina for a Thursday night and driving back. So it's really going to depend on what's worth my while now to go out and do. Plus, the studio, we were shut down over at Afro for 7 months now,
Yep.
and it's back up, and James's new show is supposed to be rolling out in January. So we're going to be back to 11, 12-hour days at the studio. So having a weekend off for me, a lot of times I'm like, well, I got money in my account. I'm working full time over here. I hate to say it, but my main focus isn't on my live stand up shows
Let
or
me
nothing.
ask you guys too.
Amen.
With
That's true.
Afrotainment being shut down for 7 months, what do you think the warlords in Senegal have been watching? Like,
Well,
without
Funny you should ask.
a lot of Tyler Perry.
Nollywood, as they call it,
that's Nigerian
Nigerian
Hollywood.
Hollywood. Nollywood is like the third largest film. You got Hollywood, Bollywood, and Nollywood. I didn't know
Yep.
this. Godfrey, comedian
Yeah.
Godfrey, was actually the one filling me in. He's like, Nollywood, don't sleep on Nollywood. So what Afro did is their deal with Comcast Xfinity was to provide original content. So once they weren't able to film our shows anymore, what they did is they reached out to all those filmmakers and bought double the amount of films that they would have. So they've been airing all these Nollywood films nonstop. And the funny thing is, our ratings have actually gone up.
Yeah, I think the best thing too, Mike, is we need to just sort of like send a script out to Nigeria, pretend it's be like and secretly sell it to Afro, thinking that it's this Nigerian script. And we can also do like Bollywood does. We can just rip off movies and make it.
Oh, yeah.
So we're like,
Yeah.
the slow and the irritated instead of the fast and the furious.
This is
Yep.
going to be a great film for the holiday season next year. It's a brother and sister who plot to kidnap Santa, but their
Yes!
plans are foiled. Their plans are foiled when he throws pepper in their eyes and kidnaps them.
Oh my God, that's perfect. The 12
Mark
Crimes
has
of Christmas.
signed on.
Yeah. And then if it doesn't sell there, we sit down with Pornhub and we're like, it's a brother and sister. They're like, we'll buy it.
It's a not brother and not sister.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
stepbrother and stepsister. I love it. There's a fat guy in a red suit. I am gonna pop out of my pants right now. Give this guy a check and let's do a celebration line. Guys, have you
Can
thought
we
about
replace
making
the-
Nollywood porn? Okay.
Can we replace the kidnapping with just straight up rope and bondage?
Yeah, I like
John?
the kidnapping angle, but the thing is, I need to make sure Santa does not want it. Okay.
Santa doesn't want it. Not the kids.
I need to make sure. Yeah.
We're gonna have to check with the PETA people. Can we have reindeer on the set?
I'll tell you the same thing I told Chris Columbus when I was trying to film a Home Alone porn. I'll see you in court if you say that. I will see you in court.
Oh, you in court.
Well, hey, Santa, and I thought Rudolph was the only buck in this room.
Yeah. Hear me out, everybody. Hear me out, everybody. Claymation porn. Done.
Done.
We're gonna change all the names except for Yukon Cornelius. There's something sexy about that, and I want to keep it going.
And it turns out at the end, the abominable snowman was just dealing with some personal stuff on the inside that wasn't allowing him to be who he wanted to be on the outside.
The camera's gonna pan out. There's gonna be so much stuff spraying around. It's gonna look like a snow globe, and it's gonna end on the mantle of a stepmother teaching her son a little trick or two. Alright? I'm gonna tell you like I told the Manzini brothers when they told me I owed them $50K. Bring a gun, come heavy. Mario Cantalini doesn't make porn for cowards. I've been up for 3 days straight.
What the hell?
Idiots, bro.
Come on, you psycho! Come on, you psycho! Get out of here, you psycho!
Oh my God, we need help. We need help, man.
Christmas
I love
porn,
real life.
Ken. Christmas porn, guys, real quick. You're writing your Christmas porn. It's got to have a name, it's got to have a plot, and it's got to be based off a real porn. James, Christmas porn.
Got it. All right, here's what happens. Little girl, not a little girl, actually. Stand up.
First of all, James, for legal reasons, I'm out. But
Okay. A girl that is 18 years of age and willing and consent is waiting up for Santa because she wants to meet him. But here's the problem. When she meets Santa, when he comes in the chimney, they're all out of cookies and milk. So Santa's like, what else do you have to offer me? And she's like, what if I give you a little bump and grind?
I like
That's
it.
how the movie started.
My favorite line in that whole part was "comes in the chimney." I got one. All right.
Okay.
Little boy, not a little boy. He's like 37 years old. We got him dressed like Pinocchio. Whatever. Comes
for legal
walking out
reasons,
of the
I'm
room.
still in.
Yeah. Comes walking out of the room. There he catches his mommy, 3 elves, Santa Claus, and Rudolph doing what I like to call a Mexican tachi-tachi. Google it. The movie's called I Saw Mommy Fisting Santa Claus. Okay? Mike Hurley, Christmas porn.
I like it.
It's gonna be the show.
It's called Little Drummer Boy. He walks in on 8 maids a milking, and they say, "Where's your drum?" He's like, "Oh, that's not the type of skins I hit."
I love it. I love it. And I still want Baby Jesus in it. Okay.
Okay, got it. Got it.
But Baby Jesus is the name of this Mexican porn actor I found. Okay.
Yes.
Ken Miller, holiday porn. Somehow it's got pepper in the eye, but that's a girl and a guy.
Yes.
What's your holiday porn?
Oh, that's easy, man. It's actually a action porno because I like
Ooh.
porno stories,
Okay.
right?
Ooh, good.
Okay.
Oh, this classy Renaissance man.
Dude is
If you
going
say
through
Die
this.
Hard the porn, I'm done.
Okay, that's it. That's
Yes.
it. I'm done. Hard. I'm done. That's it.
Die.
It's not a Christmas movie. It's not a Christmas movie.
It's not called Die Hard. It's called Cry Hard.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
hard. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it. I ain't even
And,
got to give you the plot. Hard is in the title.
Yeah, and then
Yes.
it's ho ho ho. Now I just boned your muff. That's what's written on the shirt. And then
Or,
still,
now I am an MNFer.
It's no longer in the Nakatora building. It's a bunch of Asian girls that have lost their way.
two Asian twins.
Yeah.
And
It's
then but
in
it's
the Nakatumi building.
ooh, the Nakatumi building. Hey, real quick though, as an homage, it still ends with Hans Gruber falling.
True. True.
Rest in peace, Alan Rickman.
And if I can get Reginald Vell Johnson to reprise his role as the cop, we're putting a bow on this thing. It's going to be the biggest thing to hit Senegal since Running Water, which will come next year.
This time it's personal.
We're gonna get so many letters from Africa about this episode. Like, boy, how do you talk about the Senegalese people? Like, brrr, brrr. I gotta get back to diamond mining. But
I gotta get back to the election.
Yeah.
I'm just going to assume you think everybody over there talks like Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah. Look, guys. I voted.
Yo!
Hey, we gotta go to commercial on behalf of myself.
No,
Mike.
we're done.
We're done. Yeah. Well, we're done probably for good too. This was my fault.
Diamonds are forever.
Guys, on behalf of myself, Mike Hurley, Ken Miller, James John, thank you for listening to Real Laughs on Real Radio 104.1. Peace.
COVID.